Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to CCN. I've been looking at some companies and corporations that are either very liberal friendly or actually receiving funds from the federal government. So either or, I don't want to support them. So I put this list together. Now the Big Rig Brewery is one, and remember that was the brewery that Trudeau and Obama had that famous meeting with, sharing beers and looking lovingly into each other's eyes. And the other corporations and small business, another brewery that is not really, I don't think, funded by the Liberal government, but man, do they ever lean left. So these are companies and corporations that I don't want to give any of my cash to, and it's up to you folks. I just thought I'd put this list out there for you so you can make your decisions.
Hello everyone. Today I'm at Big Rig Brewery with Brewmaster Lon Liddell and the MP for Kanata Carleton, Karen McCrimmon. Last time I was here at Big Rig was with President Obama, so I'm glad to be back. Now, when the pandemic first started, Big Rig took a real hit. They had to close their doors and let go almost all of their staff. Eventually, Lon was able to start hiring back some of his team, and they wasted no time in adapting to the new normal. They set up an online shop, and with the help of Shopify, started making home deliveries. But Lon and his team wanted to do more for their community and for our frontline workers. So they started making hand sanitizer for local community organizations that do really important work, like the Kanata Food Bank, Shepherds of Good Hope, and Chrysalis House. To keep up with the growing demand for hand sanitizer, food, and beer, Big Rig used the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy to hire back almost all their members of staff. And to save money on rent, they also used the Canada Emergency Commercial Rent Assistance.
Now here's another one. This is the Old Biddy's Square Brewery, I guess it is. It's in Lower Sackville, Nova Scotia. Now, they have created this wheat ale, and it's called Orange American Bastard. Now, myself, I will not support any far-left, crazy brewery owners that name an ale demeaning the President of the United States, our biggest ally, our neighbor, the country that actually has our back. And this small brewery and small-minded brewery actually puts out this ale thinking that this is, I guess, maybe it's humorous, or maybe they're just pandering to the extreme left or whatever. Now it's up to you people if you support them or not, but I'll tell you one thing, they won't get one nickel out of me. A farmer in New Brunswick is bragging about his bumper crop this year. It's a bumper crop of crickets. They're going to be made into a powder and sold to companies that make energy bars. Meanwhile, Trudeau is doing his best to help take down the meat industry in Canada by using your tax dollars.
Today, I can announce that our government is contributing almost $100 million for the new Merit Functional Foods location in Winnipeg. This facility will be a world leader in plant-based proteins and will create good jobs in a fast-growing field. And by using 100% Canadian inputs, it will also support farmers who produce the canola and yellow peas used in Merit's products. Standing up for hardworking farmers, creating good jobs, setting up Canada for success on the world stage, these are things that our government will always get behind.
Federal government continues corporate welfare spending spree by Chris George. This is from February 7th of this year. There's Navdeep Bains, Minister of Innovation, Science and Industry. Say no more. $50 million to MasterCard to help the corporation set up a Vancouver office. CEO AJ Benga, whose 2018 salary was more than $20 million and his net worth is over $200 million. When the Prime Minister was first asked about his government's decision to give MasterCard $50 million, his response was, "Over the past 5 years, we have been focused on growing the middle class and supporting those working hard to join it. That is exactly what we have done." With the new federal cabinet, Canadians can now rely on the Minister of Middle Class Prosperity, Mona Fortier, and her new departmental bureaucrats to stand up for their interests, even though she admits she cannot define middle class. In Parliament this week, The minister stated, Canada has no official statistical measure of what constitutes the middle class. But the greatest insult to taxpayers in the recent $50 million payola to MasterCard could very well be this. While corporate welfare was being debated in the House of Commons, the Minister of Middle Class Prosperity was touting the government's generosity in having provided Canadians with a $90 a year tax break, which the minister suggested will pay for a child's summer camp. This government has no issues with the logic that would have MasterCard receiving a $50 million handout while Canadians get handed $90 to supposedly pay for summer camp. Former Environment Minister gave away $12 million to grocery chain giant Loblaws to purchase low-emission refrigerator units for its stores. Loblaws, having earned more than $221 million in profit in the prior 3 months, announced in January they will lay off 800 people at their Ottawa and Laval distribution centers. The federal government handed Maple Leaf Foods $28 million. Ontario handed out $34.5 million to help the mega food company with construction of a new poultry operation in London, Ontario. What was not communicated in this corporate grant announcement was that when the new facility opens, Maple Leaf will close its facilities in Toronto, Brampton, and St. Mary's, leading to a net job loss of 300. The Trudeau government doled out $595 million over 3 years to its favorite mainstream media newsrooms, picked by media's anti-conservative labor union boss at Unifor. The list goes on. $2.7 million to Canadian Tire to put electric car charging stations at their gas bars. $40 million to BlackBerry's automated car division, even though the company's CEO said they did not need the money. And a $375 million loan to Montreal-based aviation company Bombardier, which later laid off 3,000 Canadian employees. There are also those endless, inexplicable debt and loan write-offs for government-friendly corporations. Recall a few years ago, the Trudeau government wrote off $2.6 billion to General Motors and Chrysler corporations, only had to have Chrysler lay off 1,500 employees in Windsor and GM to close its doors in Oshawa, putting 3,000 people out of work. Then there is the government for giving the Irving family of a loan worth $7.4 million, beyond the $35 million in non-repayable funding for its wallboard operations in the Atlantic. Imagine this government looking after the interests of the middle class by writing off multi-million-dollar loans to James Irving, who is worth approximately $5 billion.
So that's a short list anyways of companies and corporations either receiving funds, bailouts, or are just liberal sympathizers that support this corrupt government. Thank you for watching. Bye for now. God bless.